we're having a good time just kind of catching up and seeing what everyone's been up to. But we would really like to use this time to learn stuff and enjoy each other's company, and use this as an opportunity to do things that maybe are actually harder to do in our normal rehearsal time, or things that we don't normally do in our normal rehearsal time, that maybe this kind of format makes it easier to do, or like gives us and provides some different opportunities. So on the Raw, you saw there was kind of a bunch of different ideas of ways that we could spend this time together. So what we're going to do now is we're going to split everyone off into a couple of breakout rooms to have a discussion about, like, what are your ideas about how you'd like to use this time over the next couple of weeks. So the plan at the moment is that we're going to have 6 of these sessions, and there's like no rules. Like, we can do whatever we want with this time. We can be as kind of gung-ho about we're going to like learn all this stuff and we're going to kick all these goals, or we can be, you know, we want to have a mass game of Uno, like, I don't even know. So but it would be good to you know, think about how we can learn stuff about the music, or about what we're going to do when we do come back together in our normal way. How can we learn about each other, and that this time right now gives us more of an opportunity to do that maybe than when we're all sitting in our normal seats in the orchestra room, and you know, you're only kind of close by to like 4 people, and you kind of get, we all tend to kind of get stuck in our little bubble when we're in orchestra, of like, this is where I sit, and like, this is my people, and these are the people that I talk to. So how can we use this as an opportunity to spread our pond wings, as it were? Here are all the things.
Can I have a thumbs up, Connor? Can you see that? Great, just checking.
So score analysis and conducting are pretty high up. Orchestral bingo is pretty high up. And then we've got lots of things that are kind of in that second tier of like, you know, 11 or 13 or 10 responses. Not many people interested in listening to recordings or teaching other people your superpower. Thanks for all the 4 people that selected option 41. I'm looking at you, Misha. I can see the mischief in your face. Cool. So awesome. There's like heaps of stuff here. I know some of the things are not clear. I wonder if I can share this with you guys. Yeah, I will share it with you so you can have a look at it as well. So hang on. Here we go. Yeah, so it looks like score analysis and conducting and Kahoot and bingo, which might end up being the same thing or similar, are all very high up. So one thing that was said, which I didn't think got quite so many votes, was like doing the tier, like a list of pieces of like people's favorite pieces, or upvoting pieces. What if we wanted to do something about score analysis, which I would be more than happy to lead and obviously have everyone's input on, would we like to do that on, say, pieces that we have played before, or pieces that we're hoping to play or planning to play, like say later in the year, or you know, just like a dream
Choose your own adventure
piece, like choose your own adventure, like, oh, I've always wanted to understand more about XYZ piece. Do you want to jump in either verbally or on the chat with what of those kind of things, like a past piece, one that we're planning to do, or just an any piece would be cool?
Could we do two?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, because maybe like a past piece could be good first, so that like we already kind of know it a bit. So then I don't know, but maybe then like analyzing the score, it's like, oh yeah, we did that. I can see that, and then a future piece perhaps.
Maybe we could also implement the way of like, if you're a conductor, how you would look at the score, and for example, with queuing, that kind of thing, we can implement that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, a piece that we're going to play. Yeah, and a bunch of people said future piece. Lots of upvoting. Little.
Even if you could come and bring one that was like maybe had some challenges for you as the conductor, and why it was a difficult one to get through from a conductor's perspective, might be interesting.
Cool.
And it would, I think as a player, it would also be interesting to hear that take from Ingrid about what was difficult in rehearsal, and what was difficult for you as the conductor, so that we could learn what things we could be doing in the preparation process to make it easier for you to realise the goal for all of us. So that would be an interesting thing too.
Yeah, well, and that would be interesting, like Sky was saying, from a past piece or like a recent piece. Like we could even do it with like the Borodin, is to like, because everyone knows what like our experience was with that piece. And for Cara and Priscilla, who weren't in that piece, you could you know, pick an instrument, whether Clara, you'd be like, I'm going to play it safe and pick clarinet, or you're like, I'm going to be a cello player for this activity. And, you know, because we know what that felt like, and we were kind of getting that pretty close to performance, and then kind of breaking down like, oh, well, this is like how I was looking at it as a conductor. But then, you know, you guys can also say, oh, well, this is what was challenging sitting in my seat, like as we went through the rehearsals of that piece. So that could be a really good starting point, and then taking those ideas to a piece that we're going to play. And we can do that kind of, it doesn't have to be we do one piece and then do the other piece. We can kind of do it, you know, simultaneously, like spend a bit on the past piece and then, you know, have a break and then spend a bit on the new piece. So
jump in, sorry, Ingrid. When a few years ago, do you remember we did the there was a conducting masterclass that VYSO sat in on, and I thought that was really valuable for me as a player as well, to hear a lot of sort of what's going through the conductors' heads verbalized. So doing some more along that lines would be really cool, I think.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we can definitely do that. I can definitely do a funny version of that too.
We could also say to all of you, if you would like to have a conducting lesson, you could be the conductors, and the rest of us could watch. That would be really interesting, because there's people like Kim and Sky who were learning conducting and who've got some expertise, and people like me who have zero skills. Be really interesting. So maybe if you want to do a private message, if you would like to be a volunteer for that, then we know how many people want to be on the podium for the conducting masterclass, and we can schedule the time out for everybody. So
because we can also when the technology is working, that also is really easy to do in breakout rooms, and it doesn't have to be on something hard. So, you know, you can be in a pair with someone else, and, you know, one person is being the conductor, and we can talk about, okay, well, like this is the thing that like everyone's going to work on is, oh, well, and you know, how to conduct 4/4 is not important. You know, like, oh, this is going to be to practice showing excitement in a piece of music. So like I'm going to conduct Twinkle Twinkle, like really excited, and then the other person has to play it for you and be your ensemble, and then say, oh, well, this thing was excited, but actually this thing, it looked like you were watching paint dry. So can you, like, how can you change that to make it have this impression of being more excited? So we could kind of do that with each other, and it requires like no past experience conducting it all. And it's something that we'll all be able to take to our playing as well. Because what we were actually going to do, if the breakout rooms had worked was I was basically going to do something very similar to that with everyone playing or singing Hot Cross Buns to a partner, of picking, oh, well, I'm going to do angry hot cross buns, or, you know, I'm going to do exuberant hot cross buns, or whatever, but you're not allowed to tell the person, you're only allowed to show it through your playing or your singing, and then the other person was going to have to guess. So we could do a conducting version of that as well, which would be cool. And even we could connect that conducting thing to the pieces that we're looking at and studying, of, you know, oh, well, Sky, like, you have a go, you know, conducting this, like, you know, 4-bar bit or 8-bar bit of like the Borodin that you choose. You'd be like, okay, I want to try and do this thing. What would be some other, as well as just kind of looking at the score, and kind of talking through like what the conductor thinks about, or like, and what you guys think about when you see your part? Because again, we could bring in this idea of, oh, well, the experience of being in the violin section is very different to the experience of being in the clarinets versus being in the percussion versus being piano, so that, you know, everyone's got an idea of, oh, well, like, why is that person doing that thing like that? Or like, why does that thing seem hard that is actually really easy on my instrument? Or like, why does that thing seem easy, but that's really hard on my instrument? Oh my gosh, what's wrong with me?
I think as a concert master, the importance of the score analysis as an orchestra is going to lie where players find the value of their part. For example, I've played Mozart symphonies where the second violins are upset that all they do is twiddle, twiddle, twiddle. And you don't understand until you hear someone else perform it. Oh, that twiddling gives the mood. It has to be done right, or it's worthless. And so it doesn't sound good when a whole orchestra is full of people going, well, I'll just decide what to put into my notes, as opposed to, oh, they're really actually quite useful, and if I do this, it sets that off, you know. So it's the same throughout the group. If say second trumpet happens to have some crucial line, but they just see it as a couple of notes, but another instrument will hear that and play off of it. But if they don't know that, they don't put into it.
Well, it's a bit like that bit that we did in the Borodin quite a few times, where there was all that ba-bum, 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 ba-bum. And it's like, if you just see that on your part and you don't have any cues, you're like, I don't know, sure, I got 2 notes, fine. And then you don't know that there were like the 4 people before you, and then like the 3 people that are waiting for you to do it. And like, if you don't do it, they're like, oh my God, do I play now? Like,
Something that I find funny, often it happens with the horn section. There'll be this moment that they play maybe just 1 or 2 notes right before the strings come back in. And if they play those notes half-heartedly, we're like, oh, okay. But if they go, then we're like, I've got to play really well. Oh, this is great.
Yeah, totally. And what's cool about the score, and I say this a lot, in different contexts, is that like, as a conductor, it's like, you know, everyone's been talking about board games. Who's been doing puzzles? Yeah, a few people. That, you know, when you're doing a puzzle, you've got the lid that has the picture and it has everything on it, and then you've got all the puzzle pieces, and the conductor's score is like the lid of the puzzle box, and then you guys all have the puzzle pieces. And the challenge is that, you know, sitting in the orchestra with your one little puzzle piece, your job is to through the process of rehearsals and listening to recordings and knowing the piece, to know, oh, I am this puzzle piece and I go here, and I know what this puzzle piece is and this puzzle piece, like, you know, and Misha has this bit, and then the clarinets have this bit and the flutes have this bit, and that's like how my puzzle piece fits into this whole big picture. And that, you know, I'm not just like, well, I don't know why there's like a line in the middle of my puzzle piece.
Even further on that analogy, you could pretend that each performer is painting the picture that's on their puzzle piece. They're creating it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's yeah, if you don't know what the rest of the picture is, then you're just going to have a really wild, abstract, like Surat type pointillist painting with all these like things that don't fit
That's
together.
right.
Yeah. Whereas if you're like, oh, okay, I know, like, because you can see the background, you're like, if you're like, oh, I'm the Bernstein picture, like that's my puzzle piece. Like I've got to make that super clear, because then I know that the bricks are going to make sense, and then the other picture is going to make sense. That whereas if that's just missing, then it's not the piece of music. If that piece is missing, or if that piece is like a picture of the Beatles instead of a picture of Bernstein. Like
I noticed there was a suggestion about composing, and I think doing some kind of composition discussion would be helpful to this too, because understanding why you put certain things in will help players realize why they might want to play it,
Yeah, and we can kind of do that even from the point of view of something really simple, of like taking a melody that is really easy that we all know, and even like arranging it, either in small groups or as a bigger activity, to say, okay, well, this group of 3 people, they're going to make up our 3-part arrangement of Happy Birthday, and they're going to make some decisions about, well, we're trying to express this, and we're trying to do it in this particular style, and then to kind of talk everyone through, oh, well, we chose staccato here because this, and we, this bit was supposed to be tenuto and fortissimo because of this style. Yeah, Courage is saying it would be cool to have a composer come and talk too. Absolutely. I think that would be awesome.
Could we do something that double duties all of this, is have Ed Fairley do some score analysis of the Death by Tango piece that he wrote for us? Because that's all of that.
Yeah.
So Ed could do,
Yeah.
And it's not a complex piece, so that if you're someone, like for me, even though I have a master's degree in music performance, my music analysis skills are not very good. Even if you have a very introductory level to music, fundamental, like music theory, that piece, it's not Mahler 7. Like it's quite a straight down the line piece. And so it would be really, there's an entry point for everybody. Someone like Matt, who's really experienced, and Jackson, to someone like me who isn't experienced, we'll all learn from that. So, and he's so expressive as well, can talk about and it would be also nice for him to hear from him. What was it like hearing us play that? Like, did what he heard and felt match what he put on the page? And if not, where did he think the gap was, and what could we be doing to close that gap? Yeah. So that, and we're paying someone who doesn't have a job right now. So that's great.
And in addition to that, talking to Ed, I don't know if anyone else has been keeping an eye on his Facebook, but he's actually written a musical in this isolation period.
Did you see Ingrid's piece, Connor?
I haven't yet, no. But I'll have to go and hunt it down after this.
Ingrid's the bad guy. She's the Russian guy. She's like the Russian private investigator out to take down Ed's character. We did a whole number, and we did it was based on, we sang it to Death by Tango.
I love it. I have to go and find it after this. But.
Yeah. Really terrible.
It's genius.
Very out of tune. Awful, fun, terrible acting that I put on the internet. So yeah, I just put in the chat, it's called Nugget Man the Musical. If you go on Facebook, there's a page and it has all the videos. So he lives with, if everyone remembers Jude Pearl from last year, the people that were in the orchestra last year, that we were hoping to do stuff with at the end of the year, comedian. So one of the keyboard player in her band is actually Ed's housemate. And so they've been basically writing this musical together for the last kind of 4 weeks, which is basically about a man that is made of chicken nuggets. Because, what else would you write a musical about when you've got spare time? But it's really funny because it's got like every kind of standard like musical theater like stereotype and cliche, and like the style of all the songs is like good. Spot on, and they sing it really well. And there's been a few other people that have kind of contributed side songs and spin-off kind of songs, and that was one of ours.
Megan Washington.
Yeah, Megan Washington is a good friend of Ed, so she did a song and a bunch of other colleagues of ours did a song, and then we did this silly thing. If you want to hear me singing in a very thick Russian accent, you'll have to go to the Nugget, very out of tune. You go to the Nugget Man.
I'll be the judge of that. Because I'm Russian.
We actually created for Ed the Nugget Man universe, much like the Marvel universe. We felt this thing needed spin-off characters and subplots. So we created a whole, actually a website for the private investigation service that the bad guy runs. And I'm one of the super secret agents as well. So we created a whole spin-off universe for you.
It's in the chat if you want to go and visit. Susan even created a website which has got dual English and Russian translations. Thanks, Google. Because we called it Death by Mango. So the major anti-nugget government organization. So you can go and read about Mango. And this is literally just one day again, because we're all sitting at home, and some of us have got bucket loads to do, and some of us have got, filling time. And this was back when it was school holidays, and so we just spent a whole day doing this.
Going down the wormhole.
Cool. Well, I've got some homework to do on what we're going to do for the next thing. Everyone, I'm going to give you one more thing to fill out. And now, thanks to everyone else's help, I'm going to make sure that the permissions on this Google form are correct. Just a second. I'm going to give you a little story to finish off with of something that I did last week. So one of the things, as progressively all these different countries have been shutting down, and we're all kind of migrated to online, and we can see that everyone is in the same boat. It's quite extraordinary, including all these people that we probably feel quite distant from, famous people that are your idol, and you can see them on social media, and now they're not doing their fancy, very curated post. It's them looking like we all look now, in their lounge room or whatever, and you're oh, they're a human too, and they're stuck in exactly the same circumstances like all of us, unable to go to a rehearsal, unable to play in their ensembles, or unable to conduct their things. And I was just kind of doing some brainstorming about, yes, except they have mansions, that's true. Although I don't know if their webcam can capture the whole mansion in one look. That I thought, oh, well, all these people who are my conducting heroes must be in the same position as me and all of us. All the concerts are cancelled. There's only 40 hours in a day to do your score study, so there's only so much time they can be doing, and I know from what people were saying here as well, that I think for a lot of us some of the motivation has just kind of dropped off of, I don't really, why am I going to pick up my instrument, or why am I going to look at a piece of music? I don't even know when the next concert's going to be. I don't know, and for me, I had my whole year of all the pieces that I had to learn, and now it's well, I don't know, should I be learning the pieces for the September concerts or the December ones, or and so it's a bit of paralysis, I think. So I thought probably these famous people that I look up to are going to be in the same boat of having at least a little bit of spare time. So I sent an email to who's probably my biggest kind of conducting leadership hero, Ben Zander, who did a really famous TED talk on transforming classical music. If you haven't looked it up, just look up Ben Zander, B-E-N, I'll put it in the chat. Well worth 20 minutes of your life to go and watch that video if you haven't already, and even if you have, rewatch it. I rewatch it all the time. So I had a conducting lesson with him for 2 hours last week, which was really amazing, and very confronting, and I've never been spoken to so directly, I think, in my life by a teacher, and with really directly, but with no judgment. And he was really trying to just offer what he thought would be valuable for me and help me kind of grow and learn. And so I was it threw me for six a bit, and I was a bit of a mess for a couple of days, and now I'm kind of trying to work out what that's going to mean, not just for my conducting, but like for my life. And one of the things that he does in his rehearsals, and if you've ever read his book, which would be another great VYSO read if you're looking for a book, is called The Art of Possibility, if I can spell possibility. And the audio book is really awesome because he's reading the audio book. And he does this thing with all of his orchestras called white sheets. And the white sheet is that everyone, when he was kind of in his middle age, up until that point, he'd been sort of really a career-focused person, a climber, really trying to like get to the next thing, get to the next best thing. And he kind of went through this personal realization that as the conductor, you don't make any sound. And in you know, when the music is happening and in the performances, but that also in the rehearsal, the communication tends to be, in like a typical orchestra, really one way. So like it's the conductor saying stuff to everyone else, and everyone else just kind of sits there. And there's no opportunity for the musicians to like give feedback or help other people in the orchestra and help the conductor understand what their experience is. And that's particularly the case in professional orchestras, much more so than in a community orchestra. And so what he started doing was just putting a white sheet of paper on everyone's stand at the end of every rehearsal for everyone to write down any feedback that they wanted to give him. So it might be, you know, just something about, oh, you spent too long on the second movement of whatever, or, you know, we didn't play for 10 minutes, or it was, oh, I love the analogy you used for such and such, or, you know, I don't know if you know this, but, you know, in this part, in this Beethoven piece, you know, Beethoven is really after this, or there's this other edition, because there's so much collective knowledge within our ensemble, talking about us now. You know, everyone has had all these different musical experiences and different personal experiences that we all bring, that is like the strength of what we are and who we are as an organization, and what makes us unique. And you know, when there's like 50 of us in the room, you know, logistically we can't have like a 50-person back and forth conversation, but this is a way for everyone to feel like you can say how things are going, you know, in the rehearsal, and like give me feedback. You know, maybe someone in the violin section says, oh, like this bowing in the semiquavers in bar 27, like it's too fast for me, like I can't do it. Or you know, maybe Ryan says, oh, like this speed is like impossible, it's right between double tonguing and single tonguing, could you please just go either way, I don't mind which way, but like help me out here. So this is like, we're going to do this when we get back to rehearsals, with like a physical white sheet of paper on everyone's stand when we get back at the end of every rehearsal, that I'll be able to kind of read and hear what your experience is, and kind of bring that to the next rehearsal to kind of keep making it better and meaningful, and for everyone to feel like they have a voice. So it's not a vanity project for me, just putting it out there. I'm not like doing this for you to go, oh, like this was great and this was great. You know, please be honest with everything you're doing, because that's, you know, that's what's going to make it better. So we're going to do, while we're doing these sessions, we're going to have a virtual version. So here is the link. I'm going to put it in the chat. You don't have to put your name on it, but you can if you want to. And it's literally just put in today's date and your feedback, whatever it is. And if you don't want to fill it out, that's fine. Don't feel compelled to say anything if you don't want to, but go for it. I would love to hear what your experience is, like what goes well, what doesn't go well, all that kind of stuff.
I think the overarching reason that this is valuable for us is we've got many members of the ensemble who may find it challenging to contribute, like to speak up. Either that's you've had years of not being asked to speak up, or you're a shy person, or you're worried about getting it wrong. Side note, there's no wrong. And, there's people who we never hear from in the rehearsal, but who I know have amazing gifts to share. And so this is a way that hopefully will level out that discomfort or the fear of contribution verbally, and allow everyone to express what's in them and allow us to know that. So that's why it's also really important.
Yeah, and it might be like, like Suching said in the chat before, like, oh, did you know you could use this software? Like it might be, oh, actually, like, you were talking about this thing and like I have this expertise that I can like share, that you might not know about, like that kind of thing is awesome.
Gold.
Maybe we'll practice next week. Who knows? Maybe not. Or we could give you this. We'll give you.
Well, to be fair, Zoom kind of blended everything together very well.
Oh, it was note perfect, Misha. Like nothing was. It was perfect.
Like every single accidental we played. 100% we played all of those accidentals.
Microtonal awareness.
That's, yeah.
It was Jacob Collier, realness.
G half sharp. All right, it was so cool to see everyone. Thanks so much for being here and coming to spend the time. We will be making some awesome adventures.